All right, I got my buddy Keith Blankenship with me today, who I've known ever since I was a boy. And I'm not sure if I've grown up, but I think you have.
We just got older.
Yeah, I tell you, you've got a little smaller.
Well, I think I have.
You really have. You lost weight.
About 135 pounds.
Man, that's good. How'd you do it?
Just trying to live right.
No,
Stay
no,
busy.
no.
I've got grandkids and a daughter in college.
Do you? Well, so you can't afford to eat?
Yeah, just stay busy. Stay busy. Stay busy.
I've been thinking about losing weight, and I haven't quite accomplished it yet, but I've been thinking about it.
What's the step in the right direction?
I figure as long as I'm still thinking about it, I'm okay.
Well, you haven't quit yet. You're still fighting.
Yeah. It's like, isn't Dad burn? You know, I'm telling you something. I think sugar is worse than crack. I've never been on much crack.
It's addictive.
But I'm telling you, them chocolate donuts are like some kind of drug, man. I see them, and Dad burn preacher cookies with the oatmeal and the chocolate.
Yeah.
No bake.
It's all moderation. It's all moderation.
You know,
don't eat 3, just eat 1, and don't do it every day.
Dang, so you got. I tell you what I did, because sugar I've cut because I'm a diabetic, so I've cut back a lot on a lot of sugar things. I'm very careful about it.
I am too. I found I was diabetic, and I had to start doing better. That helped me. It was a blessing to find that out.
Yeah, I've got to where I'm a little more careful with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I tell you what I'm thinking about doing. I got my buddy Keith Blankenship with me, but I'm thinking about going back to the gym because now your work, you're active.
Right.
Okay, I'm not as active like that. You know, I mean, and I'm 60, almost 66 too. So I mean, but I'm thinking about going to the Y. 30 days. Set me a 30-day limit.
Have a go. That's right.
And say I'm not planning on making it. I'm going to go 30 days, and pay for 30 days, and go 30 days, and see because I think that I have to have habits. I've got to be stuff at a time and a place.
Well, anything you do 11 times in a row is a habit.
Right.
If you go 11 days in a row, it'll be a habit to go to the gym.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it a shot then. I'll write that down. If it's not, I'll call you up.
I was mistaken.
I said, you told me it was a habit.
That's what they say anyway. I don't know who they are, but they say it's a habit.
But I'm thinking about that, you know, and I'm thinking about going back. I want to go back some because I try to be careful. Like I said, I've got some other things that I battle with. But anyway, where I'm not as active as I used to be. You know, and I can do some stuff alone, but I'm still not as strong as I used to be. I used to think I was quick. That's one reason there used to be a Harley Davidson sitting in this building.
Right.
Dwayne's got it now, but I got that Harley, and I kept a new Harley. But I got to thinking, I'm 65 and I've never had a bad wreck.
You don't want to have that be the first.
And I'm real big on the odds if I'm betting on horses or whatever I'm doing.
I
bet the show or place. I don't hardly ever bet to win.
Right.
I'm a show man. I bet the show. So I think about that, and I thought about that motorcycle, and I thought, I ain't never got run over. And I've Myrtle Beach. I've stayed down there for a long time. Rode everywhere, and I'm not as quick as I used to be. And
riding a motorcycle is probably like riding a horse. It's not when you're going to wreck. It's not if you're going to wreck. It's when.
When.
And the more you do it, the more you have a chance.
And people will run over you.
They don't see you. They don't pay attention.
I mean, I pretty much have a pretty good idea about myself when I'm driving and stuff. But man, other people.
Well, it's the other driver.
Yeah.
But things have changed. People drive faster. Before you could walk beside the road, not get ride a horse beside the road. Now you get killed.
My boy last time he got hit at a red light, and he said I looked back in the rearview mirror and I didn't see a driver, but I seen this car coming at me. He said so I turned out a little bit, so I knew I wouldn't hit the car right in front of me, and wham, it hit him. But the lady had bent over to get her flip-flop in the vehicle, and he was sitting at a red light.
Oh, gosh.
Wham, hit him right in the rear end.
It'd be a terrible thing to get killed over a flip-flop.
I'm going to tell you what,
That's
I thought if I ever get hit, I want to get hit at a red light from a rich elderly lady in a Cadillac, so I know she's got plenty of insurance.
That's right.
That's where I want to go at. I don't want to get hit no other way.
Well, I don't want to get hit at all if I can help it.
Well, let's talk about something here. We're going to cover some other stuff, but let's talk about horses just a little bit, okay? Timex, fairly decent horse. Right?
He was a horse get you a ribbon.
He was a lot of fun.
He was a lot of fun. He was a good old horse.
Yeah, I was thinking about him the other day. I was thinking about horses that been out there and stuff like
He
that.
was a good old horse. He was fun to play. He was fun to hang. He was a little mean. He had a few issues.
Yeah.
Most good horses got an issue.
I think of how we rode horses in that day, you know. I mean, like poor old Big John, where we had him. And there he was, you know, I didn't know nothing about no standard bred when we got him. You know, we'd had walking horses and stuff. And we would take him to a horse show and show him country pleasure, juvenile country pleasure, and juvenile pacing. You know, we show him 5 times.
But I was thinking today about horse shows have changed and evolved so much. That's but you having fun at horse shows.
Right.
You had to have fun.
Right.
Horse shows have kind of changed. It's just not like it was 35 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It really is not.
Yeah.
Horse have changed. Price of horse have changed drastically.
Right.
But I mean, pickups, everything's changed.
Everything has. You know, when we the horse shows we go to, I mean, people get off of, you know, I tried to share with people too. I said, you got 7 minutes in the ring. An average show lasts 7 minutes. But you got all this other time outside the ring for fellowship and talking to people, making friends and being around people.
Oh, that's the whole part of it. Horse shows is not that 7 minutes of show. It's the camaraderie.
Right.
It's seeing your friends, seeing what you do, what you do,
Right.
this, that. That's
Right.
I get what you're saying.
But the problem with it in the end is it's all about destroying somebody else's dreams and you getting the blue ribbon.
But truthfully, if you don't want to win, you shouldn't even bath your horse on Saturday morning.
Ought to be trail riding.
That's right, because everybody wants to win.
That's
If anybody that said they don't want to win
Right.
is liar or simple-minded.
You want to make them. You
have to.
want the rest of them crying.
You want your
going home cussing you.
but you want your horse to do good, and you want to do good for your horse and not mess up, because you know it's a two-way street. You
Right.
can mess up. You know you've had horses that did good and you messed them up.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Exactly.
So you just as long as you put on a good show, but horse shows have changed a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
it
big
is.
subject.
It really is. It's but you know, I think about horse shows, and we do a lot of car racing now, and I sponsor a couple of cars, and we enjoy short track asphalt racing. You know, not we've really been enjoying that. Yeah, and we go to them, but there's as much stuff that goes on in that as there is in horse shows. You know, you think they're written, but there's anything competition. I don't care if it's chicken fighting or whatever.
There's always drama.
There's stuff going on in the background.
But that's part of the fun of it. in a
It's
way.
something, ain't it?
It's just part of the fun of it.
Yeah, and the same way with standard breds and buggies, and the same thing on regular horse races.
It's just what you like. That's all a hobby.
Yeah. I watched the other day these guys racing belt sanders. They had belt sanders set up, and they had them a channel, and they plug up these electric belt sanders, and they would plug them up, and they raced them. Okay, so people will race anything, but they're racing these belt sanders. It's cool. So you can find anything on YouTube, but I watch these guys. The belt
crazy.
sanders. I mean,
That's crazy.
it's something, ain't it?
That's crazy.
It really is, and but I think about that a lot. I think about stuff. Well, kid, let's talk about early on in your life, just a little bit, growing up. What kind of memories are you thinking about as a boy when you're growing up? What memories stand out?
I had a good childhood. Me and my dad was best friends. If you
Right.
saw one, you saw the other one. We was at the end. We ended up being business partners there when we worked together. But
Sure.
had a good childhood. It was pretty much a storybook.
Yeah,
Had a good family. Learned to work. Learned to appreciate a dollar. Appreciate the value of a dollar.
right.
Integrity, and that's something that people need to learn nowadays, because nobody, if your word doesn't mean anything now.
Right,
Now it's what you can prove or what you think you can prove.
right.
If you tell somebody, like when we 35 years ago, if you shook hands on something, it meant something.
Yeah.
Now you
Yeah.
have 3 lawyers, you don't get out of it. It don't matter.
Exactly.
But no, I had a good childhood. I really did. Had a good childhood.
Good. Well, what stands out when you think about the good stuff? What stands out?
Saturdays, spending time with my dad. He made time for family. We would get out and horse trade and trade. He was a horse trader. He might have 10 horses this week and 3 next. And
Right.
He was a horse trader. Getting out and spending this time, because time is the most valuable thing you can have. You
Right.
can't create time, and once you lose time, you don't get it back.
Right. It's the most valuable asset you have, the least appreciated.
It's the most precious thing on earth is time.
Yeah.
That's the most valuable thing you've got. You're right.
You know, when you think about how old you are, how old are you?
49.
All right, you think about 49. How old do you think you're going to live to be?
I hope a long time, but you don't never know. I'm on the other side.
Pull your calculator up on your phone.
I'm on the other side.
Pull up and let's just get us an estimate, okay?
I'm on the other
Now
side.
you got to have an idea, okay? So you're 49.
I hope to live to retirement age. I hope to live to be 70.
70. Well, I figured 80 for me. But I'm already, the 70, that would just only be in a few years. I'm trying to give myself a little time. Let's give you 80, because you're doing good.
Okay, let's do 80.
Let's give you 80, okay? So 80, 49 from 80 is what?
31.
All right, 31. All right, 31 times 365 is what?
11,315.
11,315. All right. The Bible said, teach me, Lord, to number my days. Okay?
All right.
So if you got 11,000 days, that's not a lot of days.
No, sir.
Think about it in dollars. You can't buy a truck for that.
No.
Okay? You can't buy a house for that. You got 11. You're always trading your time for money and your money for stuff, right?
That's right.
That's what you do. Your whole life's about that. You trade your time for money, your money for stuff.
That's right.
Now, somewhere in between, if you can learn to break into there somewhere and not have time for money, money for stuff. If you've already got the stuff and stuff's already over there or something, you can and you don't have to trade your time. There's some valuable time in there.
And you need to learn how to use your time valuable.
Yeah.
It means something to you.
Right.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah. How can you waste your time?
Well, you can waste your time in a lot of ways. Hanging out with the wrong people, doing the wrong thing, neglecting people that you love, and loves you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think and that's sad. A lot of people get neglected in there, and like a lot of parents neglect children, and they don't have that time. They don't have that camaraderie. They don't have that best friend thing.
Right.
You and your dad was best friends.
Yeah.
Spoke every day.
Yeah. Every day we talked every day, especially every night, 8 o'clock when Tucker come on. We called each other. When Fox come on, we'd watch stuff. Okay, we talk about stuff, and then he loved to watch The Big Bang. And he would call me up and say he'd be laughing so hard. He said, "Let me tell you what Sheldon said." And he loved watching The Big Bang.
You just sit there and listen.
But here's something that I run into. Okay, and you tell me I'm just going to tell you my experience. Okay, and your dad's been dead a lot longer than my dad has. Okay,
23 years.
See, my father's gonna be dead a couple of years, but I didn't feel old till my father died. Okay, I couldn't figure out what happened to me. I was all of a sudden, a few months. It took me a few months to realize that he wasn't here. Okay, to realize that he wasn't here, and then all of a sudden I'd already started feeling older, but I never felt old till my dad died. I felt young because my dad was there.
Right, and you find I'm kind of the same way. I always thought he'd always be there. You take for granted.
Yeah.
Because you get used to that. It's what you used to.
Yeah.
And one day he's not there, and then you have to run the business and be who you need to be for your mom and your sister and your family. And it's a lot of pressure, and then you have to. Yeah. But that's the thing. At the end of the day, you have to just kind of man up. You just have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that failure. You don't want to be Eddie Dash's son that didn't make it.
And the whole thing about what I run into is, I didn't. People in my family had some more time to mourn, but I didn't really have time to mourn. I couldn't. I had to step up.
Right.
And unlike you did in business, you couldn't come out next week after your dad died. If you had customers waiting on hardwood flooring, waiting on stuff, you couldn't say, "I'm going to get back to you later."
Daddy died on Saturday, and the funeral was Monday, Tuesday. I went back to work on Wednesday.
See, you had to go ahead and do that.
Right, you have to. And it was I carried his lunchbox for a long time, and it was a rough thing to do, but you have to do it. And I think it builds character.
Right.
Hard times build character.
And good times make you lazy.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
That don't mean I don't want good times. Don't get me wrong.
Right, but you have to sometimes you have to do what you have to do. You're dealt a hand of cards in life. You have to play them.
Right.
And unfortunately, people in this world, they just want to fold. You can't fold.
Right.
You got to play them.
You can't do it. You can't stop and do that. And I found that out. Like I said, when Dad died, I didn't really have time because he left a big footprint, and I had things I had to do. And it's okay. I ain't whining about it, but I'm saying that's what I had to do.
But I think, too, that it helps you, in a way, I think it helps you more because you don't have time to think about it, and you just get on with it. And I've got a tattoo on my arm, and it's Daddy, we would be doing something. He'd say, if we're going to do this, let's get on with it.
Yeah. Right.
He didn't want to wait. He didn't have a lot of time. He would say, while you're resting, let's do this. Dad would work you like a Hebrew slave.
Right.
That's just what it was. But that's okay. But get on with it, and you have to get on with life. And that's a good life lesson. You have to just get on with life and do what you have to do. And then because I'm sure you see your dad in a lot of things you do.
Yeah, right.
Dad's been gone 23 years, and I still see him in a lot of things I do around the house or do something with a horse or whatever, or how would Daddy do this or whatever. And that's a good thing because Harold Nichols, he's been dead and gone for years. He told me at the funeral, at the casket, he said, don't ever forget the bad times because the bad times and good times are intertwined together. Don't cheat yourself on a good memory, because if you try to forget a bad time, you might forget a good time. But don't cheat yourself. That was some of the best advice I've ever heard.
Right.
He was a very wise old man.
My dad told me one time, he said, son, you make everything look too easy. Everybody thinks they can do it. And he used to tell me that all the time. He said, you making that look too easy. He said, now everybody thinks they can do it. And my grandpa messed me up because he always I had a hard time because he always made me think I could do anything anybody else could do. And that's not true. I couldn't do anything. There's some things, I mean, I could get a basketball and I can't use it like some people. I could go to lay down hardwood floor and I'm telling you something, I'd have it going this way and that way and I'd be beating it in with a hammer. You know what I mean? There's things that I can't do, okay? Right. And but there's things I can do, and I try to concentrate on what I can do, and pay attention to that.
But it's also good to have the grit to try.
Right.
You got to have a little try.
Right. Yeah, there is. You
got to have a happy medium.
You know, I found like last night. You know, I got a series called America's Handyman, like I am a handyman. Okay. But what I found is I laughed. Like last night, I put some lights up in the. I put LED lighting in my pantry. Because I said, man, if I could see everything, it'd be so much easier.
You're getting older.
You know, I said, you know, I'd like to be able to open that door, light come on all the shelves. Well, I ordered me a set of LED lighting, about $30 off Amazon. Man, I wired them all up. Well, when I started, I said, I'm going to take a precaution. And I'm going to put them all together first so I can start at the top and work my way down. Right. Okay? So I make sure I got the male and the females in the right place. No bisexual things. So I'm on male and female. Okay, so I got them all down there. So I got down to the bottom, and I swear it was backwards somehow. So anyway, I said, no big deal. There's just little clips, and I know what I'm doing. So I just unclipped every light, started all back over. But I said the big thing is not to quit.
You can't quit in life.
Okay, don't quit. If you're working on something, you're doing something. If you're, man, my dad left a lot of rental property, okay, older stuff. And every small job, me and Dwayne laugh about this time, every small job turns into a big job. You can be putting in a toilet. Next thing you know, you got to cut the whole floor out.
Because the floor's rotten.
Right, you got to cut the whole floor out. Next thing, you have a pipe loose and you got to work on this one and it goes all the way up to the next floor.
Sometimes grow. Projects grow sometimes.
But the big thing is not to quit.
You can't quit in life.
And having the right tools, okay? And I know you in your job, you got to have the right tools to work with.
Oh yeah.
And so many times, because you'll be doing something and it'd be really hard, and all of a sudden you'll see somebody else and they got this wrench. I seen a wrench the other day a guy had for hinges that it'll adjust a hinge.
Right.
Funny, and I've never seen one of those before in my life. And it was on TikTok.
Right.
And he had this wrench and he showed how the doors were a little bit off. And he reached and took that wrench and he'd adjust them hinges and that door, even that. I would have beat him with a hammer.
Daddy always said you don't beat a man his own game. There's always tricks to everything.
Exactly.
You don't. And that goes back to just like your dad left a legacy like my dad. I was just like the saying, I quote Daddy all the time. Yeah. And you know, your Delta hand of cards in life, you got to play them.
Right.
I told that to a friend of mine a couple years ago, and I hadn't seen him in a while. Talking to him, and he come back, called me later. He said that meant a lot to me because I needed to hear that.
Right.
And that wasn't me. That was my dad.
Right.
And that kind of makes you feel good because something that you retained it because I didn't think I was listening to Daddy.
Right.
I didn't have a clue I was listening to my dad until after he passed away. And as soon as he passed away, I could almost hear him saying things. I thought it was going in one ear out the other, but I was retaining it, but I didn't know I was retaining it.
That's neat.
I'm sure you probably can too.
Yeah.
You didn't think Eddie was talking to you, but you were listening. But
stuff comes back. You know?
He said that.
Yeah, it comes back to you.
But that's kind of cool. It's kind of like a
changing. I just think people have changed, and they're supposed to change. Okay,
but it's good to evolve and change with the times. Sometimes.
You better change with. You know, I believe life is made up of seasons.
Right.
If you don't recognize the seasons, you'll be standing out in a short sleeve shirt in the snow. And if your life has got these seasons about it,
right.
And if you think it's all going to be the same, see, I don't believe friends are forever. This is a hard thing, okay? And it's all right if we disagree. I don't mind you being wrong. But what I'm saying is friends, people will come into your life for a season, and we don't appreciate them because we think they're going to be there forever. I've had people come into my life for seasons, and I still could call them up tomorrow, okay? But there's people that come into your life for a season, and we don't appreciate it sometimes because we think, well, they'll always be there.
Well, we're kind of on the same page. I don't have to be wrong. Right
okay,
now.
All right.
Daddy always said, and I think I really believe this, you can count your true friends on one hand. If you think about how many people you could call at 3 o'clock in the morning to come get you in 4 hours from home, if you've got more than 5 friends, you're forcing it.
Right.
But most people have fingers left.
Yeah.
But I think those 5 people will change because, use my friend Raymond Smith, thought the world of Raymond, loved him like a brother. He passed away. He went on to be with the Lord. So he's not there anymore. So they're there for a spot for somebody else to come be there, and that's taking that spot. Somebody else does.
Right.
Not a got no acquaintance here, met a couple of years ago. He works with me now. Fine young man. Think the world of him. He, he filled that spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you've all probably got one best friend you can rely on. My best friend, Jess Spurgeon. Love him. He loved to just do anything for him. Love him to death. Talk to him every day of my life. But they're the 4. They're going to change and evolve. I agree. Yeah. We're on the same page. I'm a little scared. I'm a little worried about that.
See, I believe that.
I'm a little worried about
that. That you're smart as I
so
thought you were.
Does that mean we're both wrong?
No,
or we're both right?
No, it means you're smart as I thought you were.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I think you've got, your friends do come and go in your life.
I think they do, and I think we don't appreciate
and that's
them.
not a bad thing.
No, but to appreciate them. I got people that I call, every week. And I don't set no timer, but I know I call them and I talk to them. I got a buddy in Arizona I've never sat down with. We talk all the time. Okay.
But also 2 things, your life changes. I had a friend growing up when we just changed. I got married, settled down, had a family, and he was single and he was doing things that I didn't really participate in. And we just grew apart. And there's nothing wrong with growing apart. That's just like people, relationships, they grow apart. You hear about people being married 30 years and all of a sudden they've grown apart.
Yeah.
Or they figured out they didn't like each other.
Well, some of them just figured out they never did like each other.
Just can't make it work.
And
I know, slow learners.
I know that happens. I mean,
it happens. But people do. They come and go in your life, and that's okay.
Yeah, I believe that too. And I think I look at that, and I've got friends that are, Dwayne and I talk every day, okay, a couple times a day sometimes. But what you got to have too, so you got to have people that, I think you got to have people you sound stuff off on and you talk to about.
Somebody to vent to.
Yeah, you say, now, hey, I'm going to do this. Now, and my mom laughed, and I'll talk to her about something. She said, why are you asking me? You're going to do what you want to anyway. And I said, yes, but I don't know what I want to do yet. I'm trying to get information so I can evaluate my decision.
Or just like you and Dwight, me and Jess, we'll say something, and then I'll be complaining about something, and I won't say that to anybody else, but I'll say it to him because he can. It's a good ear to listen to. Right. Everybody needs that.
I think you need people in your life, and I really harp on this a lot with people. I said you need somebody you can ask, you can talk to about. You can ask, hey, I'm looking at this car. What do you think about that?
Honest opinion.
Okay, what do you think about it? And in the end, do what you want to do.
Because if you ask me, I'll tell you what I think, but I really don't care.
Right.
If you drive a blue Ford or a red Ford, I don't care. But Dwayne will say, no, John, that's just not what you need.
Yeah, and then what we'll say is
you need a friend that
you
can tell
need
you
this or don't need this or think about this. And we talk, but if you talk about it, then you can still do what you want to do in the end.
But you need a friend that'll tell you the truth.
Right.
And still be your friend.
Yeah, and that's because, all right, let's just make this harder. Sometimes I don't want the truth. I don't want the truth. I don't want the truth that chocolate donut's killing me.
But you might need the truth.
I know, but I don't want it.
But if Dwayne tells you it's wrong, you're still gonna get mad at him.
Poor Dwayne don't know what he's talking about.
But you're good to hear that. He done his part by telling you.
So sometimes there's things in life you think, I don't want to admit that. I don't want to really know that. I want to go on. Ignorance is bliss.
I go to church with a gentleman. He's a fine man. He's got some good advice. And he said that his dad told him, never argue with anybody that's dumber than you are. Yeah.
My daddy said, be careful on the street arguing with a fool because somebody come by and won't know the difference.
Well, I've got to go with that. Daddy always would tell me, he said, he said, a fool talks when he's got to say something. The wise man talks, he's got something to say.
That'd make a good tattoo.
I was almost tempted. I ain't done yet. I might get that tattoo.
Well, tell me this, Keith. How many kids you got? 15, 20?
Well, I've got 2 that I claim.
2, I got you. All right. Tell me about these kids.
Well, Cody's 33, stepson, a fine young man. Married, got two grandbabies, Madeline and Parker. His wife Stephanie, doing good. My daughter Emily, she's freshman at Liberty.
Lord, I remember when she was born.
Yeah, she's 19. She's at Liberty College. Doing well. We're real proud of both of them.
I remember she's born. I remember it. Man,
we're telling her age.
My Lord.
19 years went by quick.
Yeah, man. Don't they do that? Well, I think, and so that's cool. It's I think it's hard to grow up without having children, but there's a lot of things that goes on when you start having.
I wouldn't take that for either one of them.
Right. Yeah, it helps you grow up, don't it?
Well, if having children or family don't make you grow up, there's just not much to you. because that goes back to that cards you're playing in life. You got to play them.
Yeah.
And some people don't ever grow up, and some people make the mistake being their child's best friend instead of being their parent. You know, there's a happy medium.
Yeah,
You and coach,
I agree.
You're close.
Yeah.
You're buddies.
Mhm.
But I'm sure you've had to tell him you can't do this, or you had to tell
Well,
him no.
I've threatened to kill him. You know,
But he probably needs.
Yeah, because what happened with Colson is this is what me and him done to him. And I told him before, he would interrupt me. Like, you know, I'd be talking or be in the living room and I'd be saying something and he would interrupt me. And his mama does that a little bit too. We argue about that some.
Maybe it's hereditary.
I told her, I said, why don't you wait when I'm done talking, wait 5 minutes and then interject. Give yourself like a grace
Time
period.
to think.
Yeah, and she didn't like that. But I tell Colson, I told him before, I said, if you speak one more word, I'm gonna take my right hand and knock you out of that chair. I do not speak while I'm talking. Let me finish talking. We argue. That's the only arguing we've ever did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think about kids and growing up, and it's not people's fault that don't have kids, but there's something about them when you start having children and your attention has to change and your heart has to turn toward them and they have to become a priority.
Well, they should be.
It changes.
Yes, they should be. You know, when you have children, they should be the priority, and when you have a wife, she should be a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. A lot of people they don't pay attention to their spouse or their family.
Right.
And that's why they end up not having it.
Yeah.
They don't stay.
Well, it comes back to friends, as you're talking about. When you talk about friends, you have to really be friendly to have friends. You can't.
There's some people that don't even like yourself.
Yeah.
They've got to squint one eye to shave in the morning.
And then they wonder why they're all alone.
Some people are just grumpy and just miserable.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about this.
Life's too short to be that way.
You mentioned this wife that you have. Okay. So when we talk about a wife, what makes a good marriage? I don't know if you have one or not. I'm just asking.
I think I do. I do.
Does she think you do?
Well, I hope so.
What makes a good marriage?
I think it makes a good marriage being able to listen to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And listen to each side of the story, each side of everybody's perspective. You know,
Right.
it always can't be my idea. It can be her idea too.
Right.
You got to like somebody. You got to genuinely like somebody to be married to them. You got to spend time with them.
Okay.
You got to be, when you grow old, hopefully you'll grow old together. You want to spend time with each other. Everybody's got their own thing. I mean, I'll go do this or she'll do that or whatever. But at the end of the day, you've got to like to spend time. I know you
Right.
spend a lot of time with Jess.
Right. Yeah.
But if you didn't like her, it'd be hard to do.
Yeah.
You can only fake it so long.
And you know what I try to do is I try to make sure that when we at the point we're at now in life, I try to make sure, because we've raised the kids, we'll let that tree fall where it lays. We've done that. Now the grandkids, I'm not raising the grandkids; they're their kids. So what I do at this point in our life, and like I said, I've been married 42 years. I want us to spend time together and focus on each other at this time, because see, I've numbered my days, and I've got about a little over 5,000. So what I look at my days and I think this is what I got. And I'm not foolish enough to think that I'm going to feel better next year than I do this year.
Right.
Okay. So I want to take advantage of this time and spend it together and do things together. You know, we load up in this camper, and I'm telling you something. Of course, that's been at this point in our life the best thing we ever done. We put 50 gallons of water in that camper, and we'll leave out of here at 7 o'clock in the evening sometimes. And we don't decide where we're going till we get to the end of the driveway.
Really?
We say, are we going north, south? Are we going 77 or 40? Where are we going to? And then we'll decide where we're going. And we'll take off. And we eat supper with the kids. I'll have kids over and I'll cook supper and eat with them. And then we'll be something. Let's leave. And then we load up and we'll head to we camp out a lot at Cracker Barrels and Walmarts, and we'll leave and just go to Florida and just go down there and stay in the parking lot at a Cracker Barrel.
I think also too that what makes a good marriage or good wife is, you know, being able to talk things through and believe in them and just want to try. You've got to want to try. You'll have a good marriage.
Yeah. Be courteous.
Yeah, you got to get along, and you got to be able to be forgiven. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. I know you've tried to convince the world you are.
I'm so close it's
but
scary.
I don't. You know, but that's where I'm going to tell you, John. I think you're wrong.
I feel like sometimes, and I'm just going to tell you, I feel like sometimes I'm going to sprout wings.
But you
just like
you can. It's your story. You can tell it the way you want to.
I don't feel like my halo's crooked.
Oh, you don't think?
No, sir. I feel like I've got it. Just like I could leave it. Sometimes I cook and I get to thinking, I make a meal and I say, you know, I don't know how it can be better than what it is. I've had a couple of people that think they can cook better than me. I don't know if you know Joe White, his wife Jody. She thinks she can cook better than me. She'll talk. And I had Bobby in here today, Bobby Sparks, and she thinks she can cook better than me. And you know, I'm a world-class chili cooker. I've won competitions, world-class competitions. Okay. I mean, I'm great at it. Okay. I can't, it's not, I don't brag on myself much, but I mean, I'm tremendous at this. I've got the stuff, the awards for my chili cooking. And they'll sometimes I call my chili the dream crusher. Okay. Because there's a lot of little elderly women stuff out there that make their chili and they bring it up there. And I have to destroy their dreams because
that's
you know,
okay, I guess.
it's just the way it is, Keith. You know, when you know you're good at something, you can't turn around and just act like you're, you know, it's hard to be humble. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
All right. So we talked about memories and grandkids. So do you do any cooking at home, or you just let her do all the work?
I'm very little, but I can survive if she's not home.
All right. And I'm gonna tell you why. Okay. Here's the deal. This is cool. You're going to like this. This gives you a good reason and excuse. Okay. Dwayne don't cook. Okay. He's in similar field that you're in. Okay.
Right.
As far as carpentry and working and stuff like that, we're doing these things. And there's other people that I talk to that do similar to what you do, that don't cook. All right. When you do something, you go in to do, say you're going into, I'm just using for example, you're going in Billy Bob wants you to put hardwood floor in his house. You go order the hardwood floor, you bring it in, you set it in there, you get everything, whatever you do, ready to go. You see this task and you complete it. And then you get done, you put your hand on your hip. Billy Bob gives you that $100,000 to do that hardwood flooring. You've completed the task. Mm-hmm. All right. I've got friends that are in pastor churches and do things that do a lot of cooking. Because what happens is in some area, like when I'm working television, it's never done. TV runs 24 hours a day. It's never finished. I don't get up one day and say, all right, everything's done. But when I cook, I go to the food line. I go about every day in case something's on sale. And I get it, bring it home. I put that roast out and I'll get ready and I do my stuff and get it all ready. I cook and I see it. I've got stuff in the crock pot right now. I get everything ready, but I see that task completed. See, in my life, in the normal work that I do, it's never completed. But like Dwayne does and you do, you complete these tasks. And you have that feeling of completion. And because I try to always figure out why I feel like I feel, why I think like I think. If I see somebody and think they're a donkey, I say, why do I think they're a donkey? Okay? And I've narrowed this down, big part of it. You ever see somebody and you don't really like them? And you don't know why? Yes, you have.
It happens all the
okay,
time.
all right. So I just want you to finish up with me there.
It
Okay,
happens all the time.
That was like one of
That's
those
a trick question.
lie detector tests.
That's a
Okay?
trick question.
So, and I wonder why, because I've seen people said, you know, that there seems like a hind end. I don't know why. Well, why don't I like him? And then I see somebody else, and I think, you know, I like that person, and I don't even know him.
Maybe we're just good judge of characters.
I think it's the smile. I know people that seem to smile a lot. And if you see somebody smiling, it seems like when I see somebody that seems happy and smiling, you tend to naturally lean toward liking them. But if somebody's always got an old sour look on their face,
I can agree with that
does it
to a
make
certain
sense?
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people just don't like. I can't
Well,
make myself
yeah,
like.
but you got to know them, then not like them.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Okay, I'm talking about when somebody you don't know, because I can see somebody sometimes. I had a great man that I knew that's gone to be with the Lord now, and he sort of had a natural frown, but he was the nicest guy you ever met in your life. I mean, he would do anything for you, but he had a natural frown. But he would smile, but he had a natural frown.
I want to think I'm a pretty good judge of character. I get people pretty well figured out pretty quick.
Yeah, my problem is I make allowances for people. My wife says I make an excuse for Charles Manson. I'll make an excuse for people, and I sort of do that. I tell you what, I had one time, and this is just what run into me. I had an old boy I got out of jail a few times. Okay, I got him out of jail, and I got him out. Get him some teeth and help him and sort of work along with him. One time I got him out and let him live in one of my houses. Bought him groceries, got him in the house, got him all fixed up. I done it, okay? I got him out several times. Every time I get him out, he wouldn't really do right. He had multiple personalities and some issues. One time I got him out. Before he went in, of course, a lot of he was a gypsy too. He had a gypsy way.
He had
You
more
know,
problems than a mad bug.
drywall and painting. That's an asphalt ceiling.
Oh,
You know, anytime somebody does that on their resume, you usually can figure.
Yeah.
I know I've done them all, but
he was a chachi.
so what he done one time, he borrowed my paint sprayer. Had one big nice Wagner paint sprayers.
Yeah.
Well, he went to jail. But when he got out, he called me. He was in jail about a year or something. He got out. He called me. He said, "I got something you might want to buy. You'd be interested in." I said, "What?" And he come carrying in that paint sprayer.
You didn't buy it, did you?
So he carried it in. He said, "This is a real good paint sprayer." Had a big story with it. He just wanted like $100 for it. So I bought it.
Wow.
Okay. Because I gave more than that for it the first time I bought it. So, I mean, it had to be $100 for a good Wagner power.
It was still yours.
I know it was, but the whole principle was he brought that back to me and sold me my paint sprayer back to me. And I was so fascinated by it that I thought,
Was you amazed he had the nerve to do
ain't
it?
that something? Yeah. And then one time, he went to jail again after that. But anyway, the parole officer told me, she said, "Mr. Dash, some people belong in jail. You need to let us
I
keep
agree
him."
with that.
She said, "That's why I make all the money I make." But anyway, I got him out one time and brought him in, gave him a place to live and took care of him. And, you know, it's what I did. That time he left, he stole I had a big asphalt sealer, tandem axle asphalt sealer, and a Chevrolet pickup. He stole all that and left with it. So he called me up, finally called me after a while. And I said, "Here's the deal. I want you to tell me where you are. Give me your address." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm going to sign the title to that truck and to this asphalt sealer, and I'm going to send them to you. But I never want to see you again. I never want to hear from you ever again."
You finally figured him out.
Yeah, and because I knew I couldn't help him no more. But the whole time my family was all like, you're talking about being a good judge of character. They jump on me every time. "Why are you doing this?" But I don't know. But this is what I feel too, kid. I'm gonna turn this thing around on me. I distributed, my wife and I distributed 3 million pounds of food in 1 year to needy families. We bought it, tractor trailered it in, distributed to families. Just 1 year, multiple years. And the Lord spoke to me one time. He said, "Son, thank you for being good to the ravens, because anybody will be kind to the doves." And I got to thinking about that in my life, I'm so blessed. And because anybody can be good to good people.
I understand that.
Okay, anybody can. It's easy to be nice to people who's nice to you, to love those. But when the Bible said that those that despitefully use you, that don't mean I'm gonna bend over backwards. And I would have never gave this boy my last loaf of bread. That's not what I'm talking about. But I mean, I think sometimes in our life we got to lighten up a little bit, and you got to take your foot off people's throat. And I know it. You say, "Well, I'm gonna do that," but gosh, somebody's son, somebody's daughter, and somebody prayed somewhere. I don't know, man. I think, and I have the reason why is this system that I've used. I'm so blessed now that I'm just blessed. Okay, my storage buildings are bigger than the house I live in, full of stuff I don't even need. Okay, I mean, what do you think? I mean, it's all right if I'm off base.
No, I respect your opinion, and that's good that you're that nice. I hold a grudge. I'm a grudge holder. That's just what it is. I mean, I can admit it.
Right.
I hold a grudge. If you want to help yourself, I will help you. But if you don't show me if you don't show me you're trying to help yourself, I'll lose interest in you.
Right. But I don't think that's holding a grudge. You just lose interest.
But I mean, I won't name the name, but he knows who he is. That's okay. Owed my dad some money on a horse, no big deal. He passed away. They did. It wasn't out of the money. That wasn't it. But he just avoided. It wasn't it wasn't my horse. It was my mother's horse. Because if he'd just come to me and said, "I can't pay you, don't want to pay you, whatever," it'd have been okay. Right. But this day he hadn't done it yet, and to this day I don't like that man.
Yeah.
And it's good if we don't. We're not in the same place at the same time because.
I agree.
I just don't care much for him. And when I've outgrown being mad at him, at one time I would have laid hands on him. Right. That's okay. I'm past that, but I don't want anything to do with it. At all.
Well, when
I think it's holding a grudge, but I'm man enough to admit it. That's okay.
Right. I said when we sing
that's my fault.
We sing this guy after this, and Colson said, "Do you want me to whip him for you, Dad?" And Colson's going to whip him, and I said, "No, let's don't whip that boy. That man, let's leave him alone. Let him take care of himself. We don't want to whip him." And I told him, I said, I'm going to send you the title and stuff. I'm not going to whip you when I see you. There's a deal. I'm not going to do it. I just don't want to ever have to look at your face again.
And that's taking the high road. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because sometimes everybody's got to work on themselves.
Right.
And sometimes I'll get a little opinionated.
But see,
I hold a grudge.
there's such a freedom. Okay. Now, all right, let's talk about this, and let's take this. All right, now I've got this. Let's talk about forgiveness, since you've tapped on it just a hair bit. All right. Forgiveness. See, I think there's so much freedom in forgiveness. For me, I'm just giving my thoughts,
Right.
okay? Because it doesn't hurt whoever you're mad at.
Oh, you're mad. That's right.
They don't even think about you.
They don't care.
Okay. But what you can do is hold on to it. And I believe unforgiveness. And Mickey Hale described forgiveness the other day. He said the Lord showed him one time it's like a tree. He said the longer you leave it in the ground, the bigger it gets. And unforgiveness sometimes. And I think unforgiveness for certain people can roll over into our marriages, into our relationships with our children. And subconsciously, I believe unforgiveness can bleed over.
Either way at you.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And I'm not, 15 years ago, I would have probably laid hands on him. But I'm not. So I guess I have forgave him.
Yeah.
But I still don't want to be around him.
Well, now see, that's okay though. I think that's
I don't
all
want
right.
no part of it.
See
And
that's
that's okay if he knows it.
So you've left that,
Yeah.
but see, I think that's okay. I mean, just because I forgive, don't mean I forget.
Because at
I'm
one
not
time,
crazy about
he would have not been good, been in the same place in a dark
it. Yeah,
alley.
right. But see, what you do is you let loose. I think when you can let loose of things and begin to really let loose of, because here's what I found: sometimes we have to go to the Lord and say, Lord, I need you to help me forgive
Right.
Billy Bob, or
Right.
I need you to help me to forgive them because in myself I can't get it done.
Right. I agree with that. That's
Yeah.
that's good thinking.
Because it brings freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Because I don't. Sometimes it's a principle matter. with
Yeah.
me.
But what happens too is the people around you that you love, they watch you, and we set that pattern for them.
Yeah. I don't want
Okay.
my daughter or my grandson or my granddaughter or my stepson, whoever. I don't want them to see that I'm a better person.
Right.
So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I study on it a lot because I want to.
But it's still okay to let everybody know that person's a rascal.
Well,
It's okay.
yeah, I guess it is. I guess
That's just what it is.
I mean, I'm with you. Okay, I'm not saying that. I got Ed Stanley still owes me for a horse.
But that's okay.
Yeah, and I wrote it. I still got it wrote down in my book. He bought the horse, got the horse from me, and then and then I called him and said he sold the horse, and I said, "You give me my money?" He said, "Well, I need to make my house payment." I said, "Well, I don't think you got room in that house for me, do you? I mean, is that my house too?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, I mean, I just need to know." I never did get my money, but I still got his name wrote down. I write that. I said, I'm gonna remember.
I hear you write a lot of stuff down, don't you?
I write it down. Listen, this book. I mean, I write down stuff. Now, I just started doing this. I mean, I write down 12:27 a.m. last night. I'm going to bed. Janice ain't feeling good. I got a dentist appointment tomorrow, and I write stuff down, and it helps me a lot. And I do it just for me. Ain't nobody gonna be interested in it when I fall dead. I know that, okay? But what I do is I do it for me, and I write down, all right, this is what I got. I got to talk to Keith today. This is what I got to do. And it seems like it, I don't know. I don't call it journaling because that seems a little girly. I just call it writing stuff down. I wrote how many days you got left, too, in my book. Okay, 11,315. I'm going to keep track of that. I'm going to watch out. If you go early, I'll put a minus on there.
Do that. Put
All
a
right.
minus.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about, are you a creature of habit?
Yes.
Okay.
I put the same left sock on every morning than the right sock. Every morning.
Right.
When I wrap the horse's legs, I always put the left side then the right side.
Yeah.
I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah. What about the lead ropes and the halters? And stuff?
It hangs in the same place every time.
Ain't that something?
I'm a creature. I get the gas at the same gas station.
Yeah, I
Don't
think
veer off. I'm a creature of habit.
ain't that something how we do that? Now
It's
listen,
creature of habit.
once we get in the habit of going to that convenience store, that's where we go.
That's
ain't
where
it?
we go.
That's really something. I mean, it's like once they get us in there and get us hooked, we're there.
I bath the horse. I always bath one side first.
Yeah,
I'm a creature of habit.
that's something. And I think good
Are
habits.
you a creature of habit?
Yeah, I mean, I lay everything out in the mornings when I get ready to go in the bathroom. Everything sits out on the sink. I brush my teeth first, then I hang my washcloth over top of my towel. Okay, I use a dark colored washcloth here. Then I take a white washcloth and dry the sink with that, and I follow through. And then I got to shave. And I follow through with everything. If my deodorant ain't sitting out there, I ain't gonna be wearing it today. I put it out there. Everything has to be there. If not, I'll get in the shower and say, I didn't even shave. But I follow through with all that stuff, and I run. A lot of times I lay my clothes out, even though I wear blue jeans every day. Same clothes all the time, and same shoes, but I lay them out. And I think, creating habits, especially young people, if you can create habits, making their bed, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not leaving a dirty dish here. I mean, doing stuff. I mean, if we create habits, I think it changes our life.
Yeah, structured. It really is a structured life.
Yeah. And I think half of it, that's like coming to work. I used to tell people that work for me, I said, half the battle, just show up. Will you just show up?
Yeah.
Just show up first, all right? Because so many people just won't show up.
That happens more than you know.
Yeah, they just,
Everybody you talk to can't find anybody to show up.
man, we had people that would walk out of the woods in the middle of the day. We'd be cutting timber, and they'd walk out of the woods, just leave and go, and think, what in the world? But I think having habits, good habits, man, is really important. Working on those things. And does your wife have any good habits?
Me, I hope. I'm sure she does.
Yeah. Well, all right. So
You got a checklist.
well, I want to make sure because I have things I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Okay. Here's one I talked about. What about minding our own business?
People have a problem with it. I think I mind my business well.
Okay.
But I guess I might be I'm not nosy, but if you say I see you tomorrow at a convenience store, and you say, okay, I got to tell you something, I'll call you later. And you don't ever call me.
Right.
I'm always going to wonder, what did he want to tell me? What did he want to tell me? I'm going to go through attorney thinking, what did John Dice want to tell me? And I'm probably going to text you and say, what do you want? I'm not nosy. I'm just curious.
Right.
What did he want?
It's a little gossipy.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
That's okay.
Dwayne and I
I like a
gossip
good
a lot.
story. I like a good story.
Yeah,
I like a little gossip.
We
It's
gossip
okay.
a lot. But, minding your own business, you get a lot more done.
Yeah.
And I said a lot of times, I said people, if they would mind their business about their marriage would be better. Mind their business about their kids, kids would be better.
I don't ever pry in nobody's business. If you want to tell me something, I'll listen to you.
Right.
But I don't care if you've got a hole in your right sock or left sock. I don't care.
Right.
Because I'm not a super caring person.
Right.
I don't care if you sock, but if you want to tell me, I'll listen about your hole in your sock. But I don't really care.
Right.
I'm not going to pry and ask you, but if you want to tell me, it's okay.
Yeah. I think that's yeah.
I mean, I'm the guy that can if I'm in a hurry, if I walk into the Lowe's, I'm in a hurry and I've got something to do.
Right.
I can see you and say, "Hey, John, how you doing? Good to see you," and I can keep walking.
Right.
Now, I'll be with my daughter or my wife or somebody else say, "Well, you just walked away from that person." Oh, I spoke to them,
Right.
but I'm busy.
Right.
I've got something I've got to do. I don't have all. But now there is times I've got something to do. I'm not in that big a hurry. I'll stand and talk to you for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But if I've got something to do, I can walk away.
Right.
I can just walk away.
I agree. I think it's fascinating. I think I talk a lot to people about that, about minding your own business, because it has a lot to do with people's life. I found this, people that seem to be depressed or have issues or seem like their life is they never really complete anything. A common thread they have is they have their nose in everybody else's business. And sometimes if you focus back on your life, see, I believe this. I think life is only has 2 sections. I don't care who it is. You have an area of concern and an area of influence. You have things you can be concerned about. We can be concerned about Kamala Harris spending $900 million and still owing 20, but we can't change it.
No.
But we have another area over here that you have getting up to work in the morning, going home tonight and talking to your wife and calling. You have an area of influence you can really work on.
Things you can change.
So what we can do is, wherever we pay the most attention, if we sometimes spend too much attention on things that we can only be concerned about.
Well, it's kind of like worrying. Don't worry about things you can't fix.
Absolutely.
It's not going to help anything.
Right. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. And I'm not saying don't be concerned. I agree with you. It's kind of scary. We're kind of on the same page. I'm a little worried.
You're smarter and smarter every time.
I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about
I think you might be running for office.
No, sir.
But what
No,
I think is sometimes is we can become so concerned about stuff we really can't change.
If you can't change it, don't worry about it.
You're
wasting your time and effort.
It's sort of like I went to vote one time. A couple of years ago, I went out here to vote. And I went in and told him, I said, here's the deal. I said, I'm voting because my uncle says I have to go to heaven. And he says, if you don't vote, you know way you're going to make it in. But I know you guys are going to steal it once it gets up north. You're going to turn it red. even though I've got it down. I mean, you're going to turn it blue once you get it up there. I said, but I'm going to do it anyhow. I'm a little concerned about it, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to vote.
Well, you can't.
But I think when we gossip, and it feels so good to gossip. Okay, I don't know. It just, to me, it's just a. I don't know. I think about it. Okay, all right. Let's think about this. And this is a challenge for you. Okay, if young Keith Blankenship, 18-year-old Keith,
Oh Lord, that was
he come up, pulled in out here, and what was he driving?
a Ford truck for sure. That's
Okay,
all he made, I think.
That's the only thing I think I do make. Every time I get near a Chevrolet, I tell the guy, I got a rope in here for when you get ready to pull out if you need me to help you. I had a neighbor, he always kept a Chevrolet truck, but all he had was daughters.
Well,
I figured it was good.
well, my thing is, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'8" and 415. And so I'm not a hide and go seat chair.
Right.
Well, Fords are made for working, and they're
Right.
made for, they got more leg room, more headroom. I always told my buddies that were Chevrolets, they didn't make a man-sized truck. But they make some fine trucks. They just didn't have enough leg room for me to be comfortable.
I had a Chevrolet.
If I'm gonna pay a lot of money for something, I want to be comfortable.
I bought a brand new Chevrolet for work one time. Had it, driving it. Man, I don't know. All of a sudden, I just couldn't take it no more. I gave it to one of the supervisors. I said, "You're gonna have to take this truck and drive it. I'm going back and get me a Ford." I said, because I ain't sure if I go to heaven, something happened to me, and I reckon this thing.
Well, I'm not that.
I'm pretty religious about
they just didn't have enough leg room.
All right, so we got young Keith Blankenship come driving up down here on Maple. He's knocked on the door and said, "Hey, John, is old Keith in there? Old 49-year-old Keith that's got 11,315 days. Is he in there?" And I said, "Yeah. Would you tell him to give me some advice? Some things some areas I can dodge in my life that might mess me up or hurt me, or some things he could tell me that would help my life to move forward and excel. Would he do that for me?" And I said, "Well, sure. He's in here right now with me. What would you tell old young Keith?"
That's a good question. Well, I wouldn't change anything, because I don't think if I change something, it might alter the end result.
Okay.
And I really like where I'm at. I'm blessed. I've got a good family.
All right.
Everybody's healthy. Just got a good family. I think I would probably slow down and pay attention a little more to like some details of family details.
Right.
Like not be in such a rush to, sit on the porch and talk to mommy and daddy a little bit more, or not be in such a hurry to go here and go there, because I kind of stay busy. I stay real busy. Hurry.
Right.
I think I might have wasted some time hurrying, and I didn't get as much done. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. So what you talking about?
I would slow down. I would slow down a little bit and enjoy. And and I'm not saying don't do anything, but just slow down. Don't get in such a hurry, because someday at the end of the day, it's going to be there.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think that would be great advice when you think
Because
about it.
I had bladder cancer. Found out I've had surgery 5 times, and we was in Florida at a friend of mine's daughter's wedding, and Emma was just a little girl, and I was having some issues, and I would never go on vacation with them. They would go. They've been everywhere twice.
Right.
I'd stay home and work.
Right.
Well, Emma, she come swim over to me in the pool, and she said, she just a little thing. She said, "Daddy, I'm so glad you came with us on vacation." And I told Tina, I said, I've got to go. It's time to slow down.
Right.
So with the doctor, and the Lord bless me, I've had the surgeries. Everything's fine. But it taught me, when that little girl swam over to me and said, "I'm glad you came with us."
Yeah.
It ain't the idea that you sent them on vacation. You came with us and spent more time. So there's some trips I missed out on that I don't miss out now.
Yeah.
Like we went out Black Friday. We didn't go shopping. We went out Black Friday riding around.
Right.
We went to Kingsport, ride around, spent all day. Had a good day. Me and him had a good day.
Right.
Of course, Tina had to work. Somebody's got to keep the lights on.
Yeah,
that's okay. She had to work.
Poor woman can't take care of one man.
That's just what it is. She had to work, bless her heart. She got responsibilities. But we had a really good day and stuff like that. We didn't have to do none of that.
Right.
But we did.
Yeah.
Just goofing off.
Yeah.
Man, all the times I spent with Daddy on the side, we called it horse trading. There was a lot more work we could have got done around the house, but we would go here, there, and everywhere. And those were valuable times. Just appreciate those times. Just slow down and appreciate them and do more. And some of the trips I didn't go on, I wish I would probably went on them.
Yeah. Horse showing with my dad early on, I didn't enjoy it as much because I was younger and it was a lot of stress.
It was work to you.
We were showing them, getting ready. We're doing this and doing that. And you know, there's times like you're saying, that could slow down and enjoy that just a little bit more.
Right.
You know, and I wanted to. I always like to work. I mean, you know, I don't hunt and I don't fish, and my family, we don't do that. I don't really watch. I hardly ever watch a football game. The only thing I ever watch is that Caitlin Clark in basketball, and I really like her. I had a little crush on her. But there's when it comes to some of this stuff. But I mean, we were shopkeepers, and I was working the third shift in the coal mines when I was in high school. I never went to graduation because I didn't want to miss a shift of work. You know, I thought about those kind of things, and I never, but it just wasn't in my family. We didn't do that. We were just shopkeepers, and we were.
So do you wish you had slowed down some?
You know, I wish I would have expanded a little bit, and I was blessed beyond measure. Okay, I mean, I've always lived in town, and you know, I could see little stores from where I was. Mom would send me for a carton of Pepsis all the time, and then bottles are rattling when I carried them home. But I mean, you know, it was but I think slowing down, like you said, to give yourself advice to slow down just a little bit and not take everything so serious.
Yeah.
You know, and you just sort of ease it back. It's good.
And when me and Daddy showed horses, it was serious business. It was there, you know, it was not that we were winning every weekend by no means, but it was just, you wanted to do good. You were serious. You just got, it's just it's an adrenaline thing. But slow down and enjoy it, because he would be out, I'd be getting horses ready, and he'd be like out talking with somebody business. I would get so aggravated.
Right.
Daddy, we didn't hear to talk. We're here to show horses. But at the end of the day, he had it figured out.
Yeah.
He had it figured out.
Yeah.
And I was just slow figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, this is the deal. What you run into is, my daddy said a man was like a coon dog. He's dead with old age before he's worth anything. So what you do, and you take so long before you start figuring stuff out. And see, one of the things this program is for, okay? And this is where I'm at in my heart with these programs. I think there's people like you that have lived life, that have some things that you can't get in college, that you can't get, but you have some wisdom and experience that you've had. And those things need to be shared. They need to be shared with people. And I promise you, there's somebody that listens. We think there's not, but there's somebody that listens and says, that makes some sense to me. You know, we really need, they say, you know, we really need to slow down.
Well, I've got one to tell you. It's a good one. It did come to me after Daddy passed away. We're going to Whitewood one day, going across going across up the contrary. Went up through there, and we were doing something. He was talking, and I was driving, and he said, "What are you going to do when I die? What are you going to do when I pass away? As far as about work and this and that." And I said, and I was just kidding, of course, acting a fool. I said, "I'm just going to live on your coattail and your reputation, Daddy."
Mm-hmm.
And he got so serious. And if you know, Daddy wasn't real serious.
Right.
He wasn't a terrible serious person.
Mm-hmm.
He joked Keith a little bit, but he said, but Daddy was the kind of person that when he talked, you wanted to listen.
Right.
He said, "Keith," he said, "I don't think that'll ever happen." He said, "You can't do it." He said, "You can't." He said, "You can't. You got to make it on your own." He said, when something happens to me, you can't live on my reputation, my coattail."
Right.
He said, "You got to make it on your own." And of course, I turned it around. I said, and he says, I was trying to make it be funny because it kind of got to me.
Right.
And I said, "Do you think I'll ever be as cool as you, Daddy?" I said, "Because you're a pretty cool dude." He said, "No, I don't think you'll live that long." He said, "I don't think you'll live that long." So he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. I think it's important, man. All right, so let me ask you one more question. And I know I've kept you a long time and it's already late. Okay. If I said, let's do something tomorrow, let's do something that makes you happy. Okay. Now, when I ask you what makes Keith Blankenship happy, I'm going to cut out some stuff, okay? That I'm going to give you some answers that you can't give me because I'm going to go a little farther.
Okay.
And you can't say, seeing my children healthy, wealthy, and wise. Oh, sure, everybody wants that. Well, seeing my wife happy. Okay, some people want that. Okay, but when you look at stuff and you say, this is what Keith Blankenship, this is what makes me happy. Okay, because what we have to do, we got to look sometimes at our life, past helping others. Okay, and I interview a lot of people that I have said, now listen, I'm not talking about feeding the hungry and clothing the poor. I mean, what makes you, because see, I believe God wants us to be happy.
That's a pretty good question.
Yeah.
That's a pretty deep question. What makes me happy, or what would make me happy?
If I said tomorrow, let's go do something that just makes you happy.
If it was something I could do.
Right.
If it was something I could do to make me happy.
It's tough, ain't it?
That's a serious. That's a hard
Yeah.
question. I think, without being too savvy about it, I think I would want to. I think I would want to know if I turned out the way Daddy wanted me to.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
To see if he thinks I would end up the way that he thought I would.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good answer. I think that's a, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I believe
And
it's good.
and again, if that could take place, say, okay, if I didn't, what can I do now to change that? And it end up
Right.
like I need to be.
Right. Okay, well, that leaves me one more question because
You're going to Columbo me to death.
You
One
made,
more
you
thing.
made me do this
One
one.
more
Okay?
thing.
You made me do this one. As far as being a husband, and you seem like you really enjoy this marriage and being
Oh,
married
get along
and stuff,
great.
okay?
Love her to death.
But today, what could you do to be a better husband? If Keith's sitting there and he's saying, all right, this is a commitment I'm going to make, and this is one thing I really think I could be a better husband. This is what I can do to be a better husband. This is what I can do. I mean, do you pick up your stuff, your clothes and things like that laying around? Do you pick up your drawers and your socks and put them in the hamper?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you pick up your pop can at night? I don't know if you don't drink soda, but you pick up your stuff at night before you go to bed. Do you? I mean, do you?
I think,
what can you do?
honest answer, I think me and Tina get along great. Great relationship, great marriage. I think I take her for granted a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that I just take for granted, well, she'll do this or she'll do that. And I think time I put a lot of pressure, maybe not put a lot of pressure on her, but
Mm-hmm.
I just, like one time I called her and I was asking her to do something about the business. And she said, I do have a job.
Yeah.
And I was kidding. I said, well, your first job is to take care of me. You can do the other job on your own time.
I bet that
But
would
I think, honestly, I don't know if she knows how much I appreciate her, but I think maybe I might take her a little for granted.
Right.
Because like we said earlier, sometimes you take stuff for granted because it's always there.
Right.
Not that I don't think she's going to leave.
Right.
If she decides to leave, I want her to pack my clothes. I'm going to go with her.
Right.
But I don't know if I think I might take her for a little granted and just assume that she might do like this.
Right.
If it's nothing but, move something out of the yard when you mow the grass
Right.
or
Right.
fill up the water in the bottom of the refrigerator.
Right.
I do that stuff, try to, but maybe I should be more mindful not doing, maybe make it easier on her.
See, I think that's exactly, and that's what I try to do at this point in my life. I try to make sure that I do anything I can do for my wife, or do stuff in the marriage that I can do ahead of her, and make sure I got that. We when it comes to washing dishes and cooking, I mean, I like to wash it. I cook, and I don't mind washing
at my
dishes.
house, Tina washes, I dry. That's
Right.
just a job. I know
Right.
that I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person, tell me what you want to do and I'll do that.
But see, what happens is that part of it, to be able to look ahead without them telling us,
Oh yeah.
I think what really makes them happy.
Right.
And I've been, like I said, 42 years. Okay, done
Well,
pretty good.
I got two things. Got a good one. Emily went off to college. We were just kidding about, mommy's going to kill you, daddy, because you're not here to. Emily's not going to be here to be the referee.
Right.
She said, Daddy, words of wisdom here from your 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Cover all your bases.
Right.
And that's just a joke now. Cover
Right.
all your bases. But
Right.
also too, I said this today at work, and it's a good one. And I'm quoting Daddy, but that's okay. Life is like riding a horse, John.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to look past his ears. You got to say, you said look ahead.
Mm-hmm.
If you rode horses,
Yeah.
and some of them you had to pay attention because you didn't know where you was going to end up. But as a rule, if you're riding a horse, if you look right there at his ears, you don't see what's coming up.
Right.
In a show ring or on trail or whatever.
Mhm.
If you look past his ears, you know
Right.
what's coming ahead in
Yeah.
life. And I
Right.
think life's a lot like riding a horse. If you look
Yeah.
past his ears, as a rule, you'll be better off.
So how does that relate to marriage?
Well, if you look ahead,
Uh-huh.
and so it's what can be done,
Right.
and pick up your drawers out of the floor so Janice don't have to.
Right.
Look ahead a little bit and
Right.
don't just throw them down and go get in the bath and go sit on the couch and watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
Look ahead.
So I think that comes back to respect.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm showing my wife the respect that she.
Well, marriage is a two-way
Yeah,
street.
yeah.
Any kind of relationship is a two-way street.
Right.
Best friends, you and Dwayne, you and whoever, you and your kids. It's
Yeah.
life. So it's a
Right.
two-way street.
I think
To get, you got to give to get.
Yeah, and showing that respect, man. I mean, I see things. I watch marriages and I watch people a lot of times, and I think sometimes I see sometimes people don't have respect, and and I hear of things in relationships where people don't have respect for each other, and I think that can be a big issue. But I think a woman can get into a trap with a man who doesn't respect her, and she gets stuck with him, and
I
she
agree with
don't
that.
know where to go or what to do, and she's stuck with this guy who's an idiot. Okay,
I agree with that.
because what happens is, I've taught my kids, I told my girls, I said, if you don't be a Pinto, be a Mercedes, because you gotta be able to make the payment. If a man has to measure up to be with you, you don't need to lower your standard to be with somebody, and you've got to measure up. So if you're looking at people in relationships, a woman can get stuck with a man and don't really know. And see, we can say, well, why don't she leave, or why don't she go, or why
You're
don't
not in her shoes. You don't know.
you don't, man, it's not that easy. I got to know.
But I have seen people like, why are they together?
Yeah.
They have nothing in common. They don't like each other. Why are they together?
Mhm.
I mean, I've went to church with people before over the years, and they sit on the opposite ends of the pew.
Right, yeah.
If you can't step beside her in church, you shouldn't be married to her.
Well, I'm always happy when two nuts wind up together, so it don't ruin two other people's lives.
Well, that's true.
You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
I've
That's
seen
true.
people that hate, and I know people that like to argue, and I'm glad when they wind up together, then they don't ruin somebody else's life.
It takes all kinds.
Yeah.
It takes all kinds.
Well, I tell you what, Keith and I, they ought to show this video at Harvard, someplace like that. I believe it would help a lot of them.
Do you think it
people.
would?
I think a lot of them.
Well, I hope it
especially if they
helps
learn-
somebody.
Especially if they learn how to vote. But a bunch of them liberals.
You wouldn't be a bit opinionated.
I'm telling you what, buddy. I've got 2 or 3 Trump flags in
Well,
here now.
I think Ronald Reagan was the best president of my life.
I do too. You know, I liked old Bush right up till he started acting like an idiot over Trump. Okay, when he started all this stuff and negative about Trump, I thought, because I really, you know, when 9/11 hit and he stood up there and threatened everybody, I thought, man, that dude is all right. But then it ended up being just that's just an area of concern in my life, not an area of influence. Okay, so I can be concerned about that money, but I can't change a lot of it. Man, we can't do it. But anyway, Keith and I, we hope you have somewhere gleaned something out of this. We could go all day, but we don't have enough battery life. But and I've got Keith's days wrote down in here. I keep record of that stuff, and I'm gonna watch out for him. And oh gosh, yeah, but when you're 80, I'll be 100. I'll give this to somebody so they can watch out for me.
Give me the book. I'll take the book when you die.
I'll have somebody else watch out for me. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. What do you think about this shed, Keith?
It's nice. It's organized. Well
Pretty cool,
organized.
ain't it?
OCD.
I mean, I run stuff pretty tight. And
I like it.
like my down here, see on my batteries?
I like it.
I run all my batteries on a trickle charger on a solar panel, and I hook them all in series and run them I bring all my batteries in the wintertime, boats and lawnmowers and stuff like that, and bring everything in, and I set it up there. And these have really neat little old bags. I get them off the Temu, I believe, or one of them places anyway. And my batteries, I bring these batteries like go in my grandson's car,
Okay.
and I use the fire out of this blue tape now.
Oh, it's
And
the
I
same
write
way.
on
It's
stuff.
expensive though.
But you always have some left whenever you do something.
But it's
like that.
expensive.
Well, probably is, but I find it. I found some up Morgan Herman's today, and it's free for me. But I keep my stuff. I try to keep it. You can have all kinds of stuff, but if you can't get to it, it's useless. You got to be able
So
to
how
get
we
to
do?
it. I think we've done great. Appreciate you watching Just From the Shed. God bless you. Pass the ammunition. Adios, baby.